Award to be presented by Kurt Jackson.
Thanks, Al. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Montana Trial Lawyers Association, it is my great honor to present the 2015 Career Achievement Award to my friend and mentor, Zander Blewett. Career is one's progress through life in a chosen profession, job, or occupation. Of course, we're honoring Zander here tonight because he chose the law, or maybe the law chose him. Either way, it was a pretty good match. It's really appropriate that we're here at the University of Montana and the Alexander Blewett III School of Law at the U of M, because this is where Zander started his career. He graduated with a Juris Doctor in 1971, and my unnamed sources tell me that when Zander applied for admission to the law school back then, he was asked if he had graduated in the upper half of his college class at MSU. And Zander replied, I'm told, with considerable pride, "Sir, I belong to that section of the class which makes the upper half of the class possible." And apparently that's a direct quote. I'm not sure where it came from, but after graduation, Zander went back to Great Falls and practiced law with his father, Alex. At that time, he practiced, I think, mostly insurance defense. But I recall one time watching Zander give an opening statement in a case where he was defending where a young child had been killed in a motor vehicle accident. And I recall watching that opening statement because I was a young lawyer just out of law school, and I was intrigued to go and watch lawyers with a good reputation and a certain flair in the courtroom. But I could tell, watching Zander giving that opening statement, I'm not sure if he recalls or agrees with me, but I could tell his heart really wasn't in it. In 1985, Zander saw the light and came over from the dark side to practice plaintiff's law with one of the greatest trial lawyers in the history of our state, John Hoyt. Now, I heard Arthur this morning talk about the medical malpractice defense lawyer who decided to come or go over and practice plaintiff's law because he liked the hugs from his clients. Well, I'm not sure that was Zander's motivation, because John really wasn't a hugger. But, you know, we're very fortunate that Zander did do that. I was a young lawyer just a couple years out of law school, practicing with John at that time. And over the next 30 years, I've had the opportunity and been lucky to see what Zander has been able to accomplish as one of the premier trial lawyers in our state. He has battled the railroad on behalf of injured workers, achieving several very large verdicts along the way. He has taken insurance companies to task for bad faith failure to pay claims, and he has been very instrumental in developing what I think we all can agree is one of the best bad faith laws in the country. He pioneered much of the law of malicious prosecution in bringing down a huge multinational law firm which had tried to blackmail through the courts an artist by the name of Steve Seltzer. He has been a stalwart in protecting injured workers' fundamental constitutional right to a third-party cause of action. And his incredible successes in the courtroom have led to numerous honors. He is the only two-time winner of the Montana Trial Lawyers Association Trial Lawyer of the Year, winning in 1994 and 2007. If you look at the criteria for the Career Achievement Award, it says that the criteria are similar to what is required for receiving the Trial Lawyer of the Year award. And as the only two-time winner of the Trial Lawyer of the Year award, I think Zander is singularly qualified and to receive this Career Achievement Award. He's a member of the Inner Circle of Advocates, a nationwide organization of elite trial lawyers who are members only by invitation and qualification. He is a member of the International Society of Barristers, the International Academy of Trial Lawyers, the American College of Trial Lawyers, the American Board of Trial Advocates. He's listed, of course, in Best Lawyers in America. He's certified by the National Board of Trial Advocacy. He's listed in the top 100 Mountain State super lawyers. Needless to say, Zander has achieved the very pinnacle of an esteemed legal career. But some of you may not be aware of another aspect of Zander's career, and that's his extreme generosity. And I'm not talking only about the most recent gift to the law school. He has funded several scholarships in Great Falls for needy students. He has given generously to Boys and Girls Clubs in Great Falls. He's made it possible for a lot of underprivileged children and students to achieve, their dreams as he has achieved his. It's been said that the dash, the line between the year of beginning your career and the year you end your career is what represents everything in between. Well, for Zander, that dash represents a whole lot of good stuff. He has spent his career protecting the rights of the individual, protecting the integrity of the jury system. And finally, before I ask Zander to come up here and accept this very handsome plaque, I want to commend the MTLA Board of Directors for honoring someone like Zander who has given so much to this organization. He's a sustaining member of MTLA, a member of the Board of Directors. He's been very active in fostering and furthering the goals of our organization. He's obviously contributed a lot financially to our PAC and supporting the candidates who really identify with our point of view. In this day and age of attacks of our jury system, in the age of unlimited expenditures in judicial elections, it's very critical that our organization recognize people like Zander, and other people in this room have been recognized for their contributions to our organization. And for you younger lawyers out there, let Zander be a shining example of what a career as a trial lawyer can be, because he is a shining example of what we all aspire to. Whenever I've heard people do presentations like this, it's hard not to make it sound like a eulogy. But make no mistake, except for a couple maybe extra afternoons working on his golf swing, his golf game, Zander is still very active in practice of law. And so on behalf of the MTLA and actually everybody in our office, Joe, Drew, Anders, Andy, Jerry, Trish, Kathy, Shannon, congratulations, Zander, on this very well-deserved award. Cheat sheet.
Thank you, Kurt, for the very warm exaggerations. We can all use exaggerations. It's kind of interesting. Kurt mentioned that this is a Career Achievement Award. I'm going to accept this award with the idea that there's an asterisk on it. It's a mid-career achievement award because we've got a lot of people left to help, a lot of work to do, and I'm far from done if nature cooperates with me. So you all heard Arthur today say that a story better be about the listeners or they won't be listening. And so I'm going to breathe on the embers of thought here a little bit, and you folks decide if any of this has anything to do with you. It might help you listen. There are a few of you in here, there are some, that went to law school in the era that I did when Robert Sullivan was the dean. Robert Sullivan was a quite conservative fellow, and his main mantra, and he was also a professor, but his main mantra was the law is a jealous mistress. And that's what he said time and time again. And it can be, but it doesn't have to be. Excuse me. It doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be. Some of us have fallen prey to that, some of us haven't. But it's important that all of you keep this in mind. I dedicated my life to being a trial lawyer, but I had 3 exceptions. Very, very strong exceptions to dedicating your life to being a trial lawyer. Number 1, my great wife, Andy. She's been with me through thick and thin, and I always made an effort to make sure that my dedication to the practice of law did not disrupt a wonderful relationship. I was successful in that. The next point, number 2, our 2 fine sons. Andy and I spent our lives providing time for those kids. As much time as we possibly could. It took some time management when I'm in the middle of a trial, but we were both successful in doing that, and look what we got. That's number 2. Number 3, way more vague, subtle, are hobbies. It's very, very important that you have a hobby, or several hobbies, like I do. But what's important about that is you ought to have a hobby that you want to get better at, a hobby that you want to compete at, because we are in a terribly adversarial position. You're going to get your ass kicked sometimes. You're going to win sometimes. Hopefully you're going to win more than you're going to lose. But when you lose, or when you win, it's very important that there be something else that you can compete in. And so hobbies are very important. And if you don't have one and you want to be a good trial lawyer, go out and get yourself one. Now, the next issue, that's the first issue I wanted you to listen to, and you can decide if that's something that is important to you as the audience of listeners. Number 2 thing, and then the second thing I want to talk about is civility to the opposing counsel. I know there are exceptions. It's a Herculean effort many times, and sometimes it cannot be done. Same is probably true in reverse. But it is doable. And it's, you don't have to hug them, and you don't have to chum up with them. You don't have to go out and have a beer with them. but you need to respect them, because if you don't, they're not going to respect you, and you want more than anything to be respected. So you ought to work on that. And I can say that because I was real bad at that for a long time. And I don't even want to give you the anecdotes, except there's one that's very important. Jack Moore was a headstrong lawyer up in Cutbank, practiced with Selden Frisbee. None of you guys probably know him. He could be a little hard for me to handle, and I for him. And we had a deposition up there. I went up there to Cutbank, drove up there, and deposition didn't go very well, and he was yelling at me, and I was yelling at him, and I was driving back, and I was thinking, that wasn't very good, but hell with that guy. And I got back, and he called me on the phone. And it was pretty cool. He said, Zander, I didn't want the sun to set on this day without apologizing for my conduct. And I said, Jack, that's very nice, but your conduct compared to my conduct was a pimple on an elephant's ass. And that made a big impact on me. And I think everybody ought to pay attention to that, because that's a problem. We're in an adversarial situation, and a lot of times we don't act like a saint. We have good intentions, but a lot of times we don't do what we need to be doing. So that's the second point. And the third point is, and it's been mentioned by several, with Citizens United, money in politics, Fox News. I don't know if any of you are Republicans, but if you are, maybe better. We have a problem because truth is at best elusive, and at probably most likely impossible. We're not going to get the truth. And therefore, we have to work very hard to maintain an independent judiciary, which will help us get to the truth, and to maintain this civil justice system that we have. It's the best in the world. It's not perfect, as everybody has said today, but that's very important. Now, an old sage once said that in the courtroom, truth has a chance. And with diligence and some reasonable judgment, truth has more than a chance. Now, my enemies say there isn't anything wrong with Zander that can't be fixed by reincarnation. And they're right. Thank you very much.